Let me now get to introducing my esteemed colleague, my mentor, my friend, my boss, our Provost Mark Kamlet, who besides delivering good weather all the time, also delivers on his commitment to maintaining a very high quality education, not just in Pittsburgh, but in Silicon Valley. Were it not for his support and his vision for what type of excellence we want to achieve out here, we would not have had what I think of as a second life. This is we went through a first inflection period in 2008, and Mark was clearly responsible for making sure that we got what we wanted. With that said, Provost Kamlet.
Thanks, Pradeep. I'd like to also express what Pradeep said at the very beginning, which is, wow, I don't think we would have thought that 10 years hence we would have accomplished everything that we have out here at in the Silicon Valley campus. And it's great to see so many of the people who were involved with helping to get this this whole operation organized. And we're going to recognize them shortly. I want to say a little bit about the history, if you will, from the university's point of view of the campus. In a lot of ways, the Silicon Valley campus was the precursor and sort of the guiding light for Carnegie Mellon in what became a pretty involved set of activities to establish ourselves in places in addition to Pittsburgh. To get a sense of that, in a way, you can go back to what was taking place in Pittsburgh probably about 20 years ago. There was a tremendous, and there still is, a tremendous amount of importance in Pittsburgh placed on helping Pittsburgh grow and prosper as a region. And there was a lot of thinking at the time for what was the strategy that the region should pursue and the strategy that Carnegie Mellon should pursue as it looked ahead. And at that time there was kind of a tagline that came about, which was working together to compete globally. And I think that one thing that changed, they got it almost right, but I think that what we realize now is that it's more working together to network globally. Our desire to find ourselves in places like Silicon Valley, as well now as many other locations that we have operations, is not in any way trying to run away from our heritage or what we're doing in Pittsburgh. It is trying to network what we are doing in such a way that we can take advantage of who we can interact with. Here it's institutions and organizations, government agencies like NASA. It's also everything that Silicon Valley has to offer, but that feeds back to what we do back on the Pittsburgh campus as well. And we can talk about a lot of the ways that Carnegie Mellon has tried to do that with different international programs and campuses, but it was really Silicon Valley that represented, in many ways, the start and the learning curve for us on how to best do it. And it's been a fabulously successful 10 years, I think even more so than we envisioned at the time. Certainly locating here at Silicon Valley campus at the Ames Research Center made a whole lot of sense, and we were very right and very grateful for Ames and for NASA, given their outstanding track record in developing new technologies and space exploration and robotics and many of the same things that have proven to be very complementary to what we're doing. I'd like to talk just briefly about sort of the university administrative history and to recognize a couple people, and we'll turn to a broader group in just a second, who have been really the folks over the years who've helped this campus, put in the hard work to help this campus be what it is. First of all, I'd like to recognize Jim Morris. Jim Morris, this was a vision in his eyes when he was dean of our School of Computer Science. Later, he became dean of the campus here as well. I'd like to also note about at that same time Dwayne Adams, who is vice provost for research, and Dwayne is somewhere right back here. And Dwayne did all of the negotiating with NASA, which was complicated on both sides, but was fabulous. And Raj Reddy, who was the first person running this operation. Raj. And as Pradeep mentioned, in 2008, we established the campus here as a unit of the College of Engineering, and it's under the leadership, of course, of Pradeep. Pradeep has done an extraordinary job in terms of energy, in terms of vision, in really making this program be as successful as it has been. We'll talk about that in just a second, in terms of expanding the programs and the research agenda. And in 2009, Martin Griss, who's the Associate Dean for us at the College of Engineering, became the Director, which was newly named what was newly named Carnegie Mellon Silicon Valley. And Martin, you've done just a fabulous, fabulous job. There's a number of signs of what's been accomplished. Enrollment has more than tripled. There are now almost 200 students who are currently enrolled. When we opened, I think we had 45 or 47 students. We have 50 faculty now and researchers, 15 staff. The number of degree programs that we've offered has tripled. A number of these programs are what we call bi-coastal. They involve students spending some of the time in Pittsburgh and some of the time in Silicon Valley, including the Information Networking Institute's Masters of Science in Information Technology and the PhD program in Electrical and Computer Engineering. By the end of the summer, there'll be over 650 graduates of Carnegie Mellon Silicon Valley, and that's pretty cool. These will be part of a group of almost 6,000 alumni that Carnegie Mellon has in the San Francisco area. We've gone from 1 research project to 9 research centers and collaborations and initiatives. Developed special strengths, as has been mentioned, in mobility and in the Disaster Management Institute, among other areas. And this work for the campus came to the foreground just this last year during the devastating earthquake in Japan. In the minutes following the crisis, the DMI faculty and students used the data collected from social media and other new technologies to improve the delivery of humanitarian aid in Japan. You'll see some of these demos and so forth right after the ceremony here. So what I'd like to do now is see if we can orchestrate this. We have a number of so-called founders that were instrumental and whose names are listed in a plaque that's just inside the building, who were here with us in 2002 and who are here with us today. And I'm going to ask them to, I'm going to call their names and I'm going to ask them to sort of come on up, and we have a really cool commission pen and inks sketch that was produced by a local artist, and they're going to get a personally signed edition of that. So let me first begin with the founding dean, professor and alumnus Jim Morris. And Jim, just come on up, and I'm going to hand this So I think all you do is now stand, and I'll call up the Associate Dean for Strategic Initiatives and Alumni for SCS, Phil Lehman. Alumnus and past faculty member Eric Daimler. University Life Trustee and alumnus Ed Frank. Alumnus Jim Mitchell. Past faculty and honorary alumnus Gordon Bell. Raj Reddy, the Moza bin Nasser University Professor of Computer Science and Robotics. Dwayne Adams, past Vice Provost for Research. Drew Perkins, an alum, a founder, and entrepreneur. And that's all the founders we had, because that's all that will fit. Thanks very, very much.